To His Coy Mistress by Andrew Marvell. I'm Anusha Thennakoon. Andrew Marvell. Andrew Marvell was an English metaphysical poet, satirist, and politician who sat in the House of Commons at various times between 1659 and 1678. Andrew Marvell was born in 1621 and he died in 1659. The structure of the poem. This poem is a dramatic monologue. The silent listener, the mistress, is addressed, but we do not hear her voice. To His Coy Mistress is structured as one stanza poem, but for easy understanding, it can be divided into three different stanzas. Stanza 1 from line 1 to 20, stanza 2 from line 21 to 32, and stanza 3 from line 33 to 46. In the first stanza, which consists of 20 lines, the poet expresses his mistress how much he loves her. Had we but world enough and time, this coyness lady were no crime. Here the speaker starts off his expressions telling his mistress that her coyness is not a crime if they both have enough time and enough space. Then from next line onwards, he starts describing what they can do if they have enough time and space. We would sit down and think which way to walk and pass our long love's days. Accordingly, if they have enough time and space, they can decide carefully where they might go next, wandering and resting whenever they please. Thou by the Indian Ganges side shouldst rubies find, I by the tide of Humber would complain. After they decided where they might go, two of them can be in places far away from each other. The mistress can be there in India along the banks of the river Ganges collecting rubies, while he himself is there in England at the beach where the river Humber meets the ocean. And he will not, of course, find rubies there. Next, the speaker is telling if they have enough time and space, he is not in a hurry and he can wait for a long period of time until she accepts his proposal of love. I would love you 10 years before the flood, and you should, if you please, refuse till the conversion of the Jews. Here, the speaker is referring to two biblical references. First one is the flood. The flood here refers to the flood from the story of Noah's Ark in the Bible, the beginning. The second reference is the conversion of the Jews. If I explain further, the speaker is telling if they have enough time and space, the speaker would propose her 10 years before the flood. After his proposal, she can continue refusing the proposal till the conversion of the Jews. In reality, this conversion will never happen. So indirectly, the speaker is telling his mistress can keep on refusing him until eternity. In the remaining lines of the first stanza, the speaker is expressing how their love should grow and how he is going to admire her beauty if they have enough time and space. My vegetable love should grow vaster than empires and more slow. Here the phrase, my vegetable love, is the most famous phrase in this poem. It means their love should not grow rapidly, but it should grow naturally, slowly, strongly, like a seed growing into a vegetable. In explaining how he is going to admire her beauty, each of her body parts, he says, 100 years should go to praise thine eyes and on thy forehead gaze, 200 to adore each breast, but 30,000 to the rest, an age at least to every part, and the last age should show your heart. Accordingly, he takes 100 years to admire her eyes and forehead grace, 200 years to adore her each breast, 30,000 years to admire the rest of the body parts. And the last age should show your heart. Here the speaker is telling, out of this colossal number of years, he is ready to take an age, which means 2,000 years, to appreciate her heart. Here the word heart has been used as a metaphor for sex. That is, probably for having sex. In the last two lines of the stanza, that is line 19 and 20, the poet is requesting his lover not to misunderstand his appreciation because it is a genuine appreciation. For lady, you deserve this state, nor would I love at lower rate. Further he says that she is worth of appreciation and his love towards her is also at a higher rate. In the second stanza, the poet is convincing his mistress the reality of the world where they both live. But at my back I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near. In real world, people do not have sufficient time to postpone things that they should do. In these lines, the time has been compared using a metaphor to a chariot which is coming behind people at a very high speed to overtake them. And yonder all before us lie deserts of vast eternity. In these two lines, the speaker highlights the fact that our life is short. Eventually, we all die. What is in front of us is the deserts of vast eternity. Here, the desert of vast eternity refers to death. After assuring death, the speaker talks on the after effects of death to convince his mistress the importance of having sex soon without postponing. Thy beauty shall no more be found, nor in thy marble vault shall sound my echoing song. Once you are dead and lying in your grave, you would not look pretty as now, and also you will not hear my pretty voice. Then warmth shall try that long preserved virginity. These lines give a creepy feelings to the readers. The speaker is telling, if you die without having sex with me, your virginity will be eaten by the worms in your grave. In other words, he is telling that worms will have sex with you. And your quaint honor turn to dust. The speaker is trying to convince his mistress in every possible way that preserving her virginity to have a feeling of honor is useless because she cannot carry her virginity after life. And into ashes all my lust. While explaining what will happen to his mistress when she dies, he explains further how it affects him. If they die without having sex together, his lust or desire will all burn up with nothing left but the ashes. Here we can understand that he is not a womanizer who goes behind every woman to have sex. He wants to have sex only with his mistress. The grave's a fine and private place, but none, I think, do their embrace. He ends the second stanza telling that grave is a fine and private place, but no one can hug each other there. In the third stanza, the speaker convinces the mistress very strongly that she must make love to him. Sits on thy skin like morning dew, and while thy willing soul transpires at every pore with instant fires. The speaker who imagined his mistress in the grave in the second stanza now tells her how young she is and how her soul rushes inside her, leaking out through her pores. Now, let's sport us while we may, and now, like amorous birds of prey, rather at once our time devour than languish in his slow-chapped power. Here the verb sport means make love. The speaker convinces the mistress that she should not repress her feeling and should make love to him. Here he compares their act of making love to amorous birds who are mating. He is telling so because he feels like he is dying in the mouth of time and that time is slowly eating him up. Let's roll all over strength and all. our sweetness up into one ball. The speaker here, referring making love to a ball, says, let's make love so that our soul and body will combine and tear our pleasures with rough strip through the iron gates of life. If we make love, we are not afraid of death. Here iron gates represent death. Thus, though we cannot make our sun stand still, yet we will make him run. Here the speaker talks about the sun instead of time. During speaker's time, the sun is thought to control time. The speaker accepts that he cannot use sex to stop time, but he can use it to make time go faster. This is not the most rational argument, but it adds a charm to the poem. Indirectly, the poet is giving a message that even though we cannot stop time, we can use it maximally to search for a meaning of existence. The speaker. The speaker is anonymous. He could be any man, anywhere. He's an intense guy. He spends the poem trying to convince his mistress that she should have sex with him. The setting. The setting of To His Coy Mistress is broadly speaking the earth. The speaker imagines himself and his mistress wandering across the whole earth from East Yorkshire in England to the Ganges River in India. The poem To His Coy Mistress contains many literary devices. Number 1. Assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sound in the same line. In the line, and you should, if you please, refuse. The vowel sound of is repeated. Number 2. Imagery. Imagery is used to make the readers perceive things with their 5 senses. Examples for imagery is time's winged chariot hurrying near, deserts of vast eternity, then warm shall try that long preserved virginity. Number 3. Consonance. Consonance is the repetition of the consonant sound in the same line. In the line, and while thy willing soul transpires, the consonant sound l is repeated. Number 4. Metaphor. Metaphor is used to apply a word or phrase to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable. Examples: to walk and pass our long love's day, my vegetable love should grow. Number 5. Hyperbole. Hyperbole is used for the purpose of exaggeration. Example: 200 to adore each breast. Number 6. Simile. Simile is used to compare one thing to another thing. Example: sits on thy skin like morning dew. Number 7. Enjambment. Enjambment refers to the continuation of a sentence without the pause beyond the end of a line. Example: but at my back I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near. Number 8. Pun. Pun refers to a word or phrase which suggests 2 or more meaning. The following 2 lines have many meanings. Thus, though we cannot make our sun stand still, yet we will make him run. Now, let's pay our attention to the most important themes of the poem. Number 1. The rush of time. The main theme of To His Coy Mistress is the transience of life expressed through a sense of time pursuing us and propelling us into the grave before we have achieved fulfillment. Theme number 2. Carpe diem. A carpe diem is a Latin phrase that can be translated literally as pluck the day, though it is more widely translated as seize the day. Above all, the poem To His Coy Mistress calls upon seizing the day. It negates all the notions of piousness and honor. It stresses the point that nothing is better than to enjoy the present moment. The future is uncertain and the afterlife is bleak. Therefore, if we are able to be happy at the moment, we should not shy away from it, nor fear or worldly values should make us surrender our happiness. Theme number 3. The brevity of youth. The speaker emphasizes that the age of youth, passion and beauty is short. The poet further portrays time as an antagonist between the lover and the beloved. It is always there to wash their youthful vigor away. Time never waits for the lovers. It flows away in its way. Lovers should not wait for the future as time never waits for them. We have come to the end of today's presentation. We'll meet again in a video like this. Thank you very much.